Soul Garden. Live, love, be.
From my smartphone to yours, I'm Lovecasting live from the Serious Joy Garden Studios in Costa Mesa, California, and this is your Tuesday Namaste Today. Good morning and namaste and welcome to Namaste Today. My name is Christopher Oteki. I'm a psychic astrologer, a life coach, and I call myself the Sensei to Serious Joy. My life purpose is to stand in my heart and help other people into theirs. This webisode is for Tuesday, November 17th, 2015. And today the great human crawl has reached to step 25, Scorpio. Now, we are almost done with the Scorpio vibration. First of all, hello, welcome. So good to see all of you again. I want to thank everyone for the comments who've been reaching out and saying hello. I want to say hello to all the newcomers. I want to say hi to all the evolvers. There's a lot of new people coming in this little daily family, and it's great to have morning coffee with you. And I've got my little coffee. So we're all having coffee together. I predict today is going to be a bit of a cloudy day, an introverted day, because psychic awareness is high, and we are intuiting where we should draw the line. And with Scorpio being the transit of line, Scorpio being the dimension between dimensions, really Scorpio being where the line is, also known as step 0, this line we're drawing is probably the final line. And like I talked about in the last couple of days, we went through a 2.5-year transit roughly with Saturn and Scorpio. Everyone kind of faced their demons, faced inside their boogeymen. You may not have actually acted on that knowledge. You might have not actually carried through the wisdom, but now is your final opportunity to do so. By the way, someone commented on, earlier this week that that life is a continuum. There's never a final. That's true. I'll be honest with you. This is the last time for 30 years. So it's the last time when you're looking hot and being so savvy. So you might as well draw it now. Now, that said, this is probably a line that is quite personal and close to the chest. And with considering looking at the astrology, it's probably the end of the line, the final line. In fact, when I was driving over to the studio today, I was thinking about Scorpios and lines. And it's like Scorpios are never quite clear on when something starts, especially if it's romantic or sexual, because I think Scorpios are always kind of like crocodiles, learn under the water who they think is hot, and then so for them, it's like, when did it start? The first time they thought about them or when they actually said something? But a Scorpio is always 100% clear of when it ended. They can give you the date. They'll give you the date, they may not have the birth date, but they'll have the death date. And that's because Scorpios really honestly monitor the final line. And everything else is just really a warning until then, right? So today, I think we're going to be intuiting the final line. We're going to be drawing the final line. And that brings us to today's topic, which is sensing the line. Now, it is my opinion that we are aware in 12 dimensions at once. Scorpio is just one of them. And in all of these dimensions, they're all speaking to us. We're aware of what they're aware of. So it's kind of a pyramid of awareness inside of us with our heart in the center, okay? And our boundaries, our lines, our limits, we are already aware of where the right line is, or where the correct line is, or where the best line is, or we're already aware, but we choose to not be aware because we want to maybe talk our way around it, or we're hoping it's not the case and that sort of thing. So once a year, every year, God Universe puts us into the Scorpio vibration where we're forced to look at very closely, where the line is, whether, and just look at it. You know what I mean? Like, look at the truth. And that's kind of what Scorpios do sometimes. Are you aware of the line? Right? Well, today, step 25 is about sensing that line. And because it's step 25, it's about sensing that line in the highest degree. This is the highest vibration of sensing in Scorpio. This means we're really sensing the final end of something. And like I said, I think we always sense the end, but we don't always take advantage of it. We're not always aware of it. And I think today is a couple of things. One, it's probably a little exercise in sensing the end, because I think in the next 3 days, people are going to find that they had sensed the end to a lot of things in their life, And in fact, you'll see as we move into Sagittarius, yep, that was the end. A lot of times, we kind of sense something, but are we courageous enough to know our senses and to act accordingly ahead of time? Right? So that brings us to today's 5 o'clock question. This one's kind of obvious, but it's going to lead to some good talk. First of all, have you ever been in a situation where you sense the end? Have you ever sensed the end to something? All right, you have to maybe meditate on that for a second. And the second follow-up is, what did you do about it? What did you do about it? Now, I've always sensed the end of things. I think that's part of a Taurus thing. Taurus and Scorpios kind of hold hand in consciousness, and so we kind of have each other's powers. We just don't care about each other's powers. Like I have Scorpio power, I just don't like it. Scorpios have my power, they just don't like it as much. That's the way it is with opposite signs. So I have always sensed the end. Like I've always sensed, for instance, when I was a kid. Woo-wee, look at this. Hella mia! I've always sensed the end of my mother's patience, for instance. Like I knew how far I could push her without getting killed. I always sensed the end of, someone's good fortune, unfortunately. So I could always, be there for people. I've sensed the end of that. In my mind, in my third eye, I can remember going back to being a kid where I could, in my mind, sense time. Like I could see it in my third eye, and I could see when it would end. It was like a physical, I could see something ending, and to this day I can still sense the end. But I'll share one story in particular where I took advantage of it, and that was when I had first gone home to visit my family when my son was first born. He was a newborn baby, and we went to see my grandparents, and we were leaving Christmas, and I was packed up with all that baby, you got the baby and all the crap, and it's like literally walking through the snow, like it's like snowing. If you guys lived in the Midwest or anything, like snow sucks. It's fun to look at, but anyways, I'm going through the snow, and suddenly with my son on my shoulder, on my, carrying everything because I'm the dad, suddenly I sensed that my grandfather was going to die and that this was the last time I would ever see him. I sensed it was the end of his life. And it was one of those senses where it's like, and my Taurus mind, of course, is like, oh crap. Like the first thing I complain about is like that I have to turn around. You know what I mean? Like that's typical me. But then I realized like, no, I'll never forgive myself if I don't go say goodbye to him right now because he could be going, right? So I did. I turned around with baby and everything. And it's like grandma. And it was funny too because my grandma gave me the funniest look when I walked past her on the porch. She's like, why are you coming back in here? And I was like, I don't want to talk about it. You know what I mean? But I turned around to my grandfather and put my hand on his shoulder and I said, Grandpa, I love you. I'm so grateful you're alive. And he looked up and he smiled at me and like the funniest smile, like he knew that I knew. And it was one of those moments. And I am so grateful because we got on that plane, went back to California, and my grandfather passed away that winter. So it was indeed the last time, and I was so grateful that I had sensed the end, and not just sensed the end, but done something about it. So my friends, I think that you are sensing the end of something in your life, and I think that sometimes, not taking advantage of that sense that we know is true can hurt us. I would have really, really been so hurt if I couldn't have said goodbye, and to another sad story. Not sad, that's a happy story, but with my grandmother, I sensed the end also coming, and I couldn't get to her in time. And so that broke my heart too. So, works for you, works against you, but I think you should always listen to it. So without further ado, let's take a look at my guides and the planets and see what they have to say about you. Okay. Whew. I go straight to Venus. Interesting. So, okay. Gotcha. They're taking me to Venus, which is interesting because we're actually in step 25. So step 25 Scorpio is probably one of the most psychic 24-hour periods the human race goes through in the year. This is there's the line between the dead and the living is like a hair right now. I think that's why it was easy for terrorism attacks to happen more than other times of the year. I think, people can cross lines a lot easier during this time of the year. But in the psychic realm, too, oh boy, can we connect. Now, today, we are very connected in this 24-hour period. And ultimately, we're listening and we're opening up. But what Spirit was showing me was that this line we're drawing, with the Sun and Mercury both conjunct at step 25, our mind and our hearts are aligned. and our minds and hearts have been aligned for the last couple of days, and they're going to be aligned for the next couple of days as we draw this final line somewhere in our life. But what they showed me was Venus at step 10 in Libra says that this line is the foundation of the new marriage. This line that we're drawing the next couple of days is the foundation of how you relate to yourself. And what's interesting is the North Node is at step 29 Virgo, which means that as we put on the cornerstone to our new relationship to ourselves based on this new boundary, we are also making a mark of a master stroke of reality. This is a master stroke of reality, right? If you do it correctly. Now, Jupiter is conjuncting North Node step 29, so we are let's say we're pouring the foundation for the fortune that's going to come next year. If you draw the line and enter into a new marriage with yourself based on fairness, based on knowing where boundaries should be, then you've just planted the seeds for tremendous growth in the Jupiter Virgo cycle, which will come to fruition a year from now. If you don't do this for yourself, I think you'll still plant seeds and hope, but I just don't think that those hopes will come to term. So it's important, sometimes the work is invisible, sometimes the work is invisible, and sometimes, the work is thankless, but this is one of those times where if you're not there for yourself, only you will see that later in life. The last thing I'll bring up is that the moon is in Aquarius. And the groovy thing about Aquarius is that people don't take things personally. If you have to have a delicate conversation with someone, the next 24 hours is the best time. They're most spiritual, you're most spiritual, and emotions are detached. So everyone can kind of take it in stride as just one more screwed up thing on Earth. All right, my friends, I think it's a good time to wrap up. It is a windy day. I've been trying to get ahead on the shows, but it's been so windy, it's been very difficult. Either way, I'm grateful for you, and I'll be live as soon as I can in 24 hours. If you'd like to watch this show without commercials, come on down to soulgarden.tv. We have a community there leaving comments, and I'm so grateful for all the new people saying hi and shaking my hand. Thank you so much. Nice to meet you. And if you'd like to have serious alerts or know when things spike here on Earth, you can follow me on Twitter at @CWateki. All right, friends, I'll see you in 24 hours with more. Until then, remember, I love you, and live, love, be.
So